All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today, but what I want to focus on is some reasoning behind the Bitcoin explosion that I think is coming here pretty soon. There are a lot of signs, and then I kind of want to talk about what the difference is between now and what 2017 was when we seen the explosion then as well. And then, of course, we got some good stuff after that, but Bitcoin prices fell to an all-time low, or at least an all-year low of 3,200. That was in about December 2018. So for investors, it's an encouraging sign that the bull run is now in its 11th week or so, and it's not yet run out of steam. So some of the signals for the mooning that is going to be coming here soon. Number one, the number of active Bitcoin wallet addresses surged past 1 million late last week for the first time since November 2017. Signal number two, furthermore, the network hash rate reached an all-time high of 62 quintillion hashes per second on Friday of last week, and that represents a near 60% increase in hash rate from the yearly low it fell to in December, along with the prices as well. So we exploded back pretty fast. On the institutional side, though the last of CBOE's futures will expire on Wednesday, interest in crypto derivatives have never been higher. So actually they are sort of exploding as well, the whole futures market, and those expire Wednesday. And I find it hard to believe that anybody would really want to, or at least a majority of people would want to short right now institutionally, but we'll have to see. And again, along with the difficulty, it updates every 2 weeks, so we'll have to see if the difficulty reaches its all-time high in the next couple weeks or so here. Regulated trading platforms like CME and crypto facilities, as well as the unregulated BitMEX exchange, have all reported that volume for their Bitcoin futures practically doubled between April and May. Signal number five, more providers are coming into the scene. In a recent update, Adam White, the CEO of ICE, support backed, said the company will initiate user testing for its own regulated Bitcoin derivatives on July 22nd. Institutional involvement is always a bullish signal for Bitcoin. That's because it acts as validation for existing investors who, with restored confidence in the long-term viability of the asset, often buy more. It's also partly out of anticipation for the significant inflows that come in with institutional involvement. Signal number six, the institutions could play a crucial role in fueling the rally. As Ikagi's, I don't know, Japanese, Travis Kling told Crypto Briefing, price and sentiment from a feedback loop with one another. The longer a positive trend continues, the more momentum builds behind it, meaning eventual price and sentiment are likely to be higher the longer it goes on for. Number seven, in fact, sentiment is already pushing into new territory. Crypto analyst provider told Crypto Briefing that the market is currently in its most prolonged period of positive sentiment from a long-term perspective. If sentiment remains positive for a long perspective, and tweet volumes continue to rise, we expect that Bitcoin will continue to appreciate. Signal number eight, at current hash rates, Bitcoin block rewards are scheduled to halve from 12.5 BTC to 6.25 BTC sometime in May 2020. I was actually watching Bloomberg earlier, and it was just a snippet of the video, and they actually had somebody on for once that sort of knew what they were talking about with Bitcoin, was talking about the halving as well. So that on cable television, essentially, always a good thing. A significant reduction in supply combined with increased demand from additional on-chain activity, institutional involvement via derivatives, and a notable increase in market sentiment will likely lead to a surge in BTC price. Bonus signal, Wall Street investors have come out strongly in support of Facebook's impending foray into cryptocurrency, and despite this publication's stance on the idea of centralized payment mechanisms, and this is antithetical to the values we espouse, we cannot ignore the fact that the world once again is talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Consider it Mark Zuckerberg's gift to Bitcoin holders. I suppose not a fan of it. Clearly, not many people in crypto are a fan of it, but it may get a lot of people into crypto that otherwise might not have checked it out, I suppose. At least it's good for investors, I suppose. So moving on, what changed since Bitcoin was at 9K in 2017. So cast your mind back to November 2017, the first time Bitcoin was trading around this price at 9,200. What's changed since then, and why is it so much of a better place this time around? When Bitcoin soared over 9K last time, the entire panorama looked completely different. There have been a handful of companies accepting Bitcoin payments, but many of them U-turned on their policies when its volatility became too complicated. Flash forward to 2019, and the number of big-name businesses scrambling to get in and getting longer over time. Microsoft is building on the Bitcoin blockchain and adding the BTC symbol to its flagship Excel product. Apple added the BTC symbol to its character set. Facebook, rather than trying to ignore it, is now getting on the cryptocurrency hype, and I think a lot of companies will follow. And companies like Whole Foods are accepting payments. 2019 is a completely different ecosystem surrounding Bitcoin with greater awareness, deeper understanding, and a solid institutional investment. CBOE and CME may have been about to launch their Bitcoin futures, which may have contributed to its price fall last time. Yeah, probably. But beyond a few hedge funds and dedicated blockchain investment firms, there were no major names on board. Institutions were watching as retail FOMO saw the price surge, but they weren't getting in. And this time around, major investment firms like Fidelity are storing it. ICE Markets Backed is soon to launching physically settled futures with it. And TD Ameritrade is now trading it. The banks were staunchly opposed to it, advising their customers not to invest into it, most notably JP Morgan, calling it stupid. Now in 2019, one of the world's largest banks has its own crypto, JPM coin. So Bitcoin infrastructure was less solid as well. Since 2017, the Bitcoin blockchain has been building and improving. Now transaction speed, usage, hash rate, and block size are all up, while transaction fees are down massively by 68%. And yes, payments and volume are also down too, but these are signs that people realize the value Bitcoin has. Fewer people are paying for things in Bitcoin now and using it as a store of value. The SEC has yet to declare that Bitcoin was not, or had yet to declare that Bitcoin was not a security. Regulators were watching on with caution, but now there's a greater understanding of the use cases and worth of Bitcoin. It's actively being debated at the highest level, and a group of congressmen is fighting to push through a token Taxonomy Act to exempt many coins from being securities, with U.S. presidential candidate Andrew Yang pledging to help push it through if voted in. And in 2017, most people hadn't even heard of Bitcoin. This time around, it's a word used fairly often in people's vocabulary, even reaching the political dialogue at the highest levels of government. So a lot has changed, and I think this article could have probably gone on for quite some time to it really truly explain the differences. I think one of the big differences is that at the beginning of 2017 is, Genesis mining, cloud mining sort of came out before that. And then right around January of 2017, I think it was a couple months before that as well, but right around January 2017, we saw Bitcoin at 1,000. And then we had Genesis mining and all these different things start popping up like BitConnect. And I've had so many people tell me that the reason they got into cryptocurrency was because of BitConnect. And we all have to agree it was incredibly popular. Every YouTuber was shilling links for Genesis mining and BitConnect. I'm not putting myself on a high horse here, but I did not. I never really believed in cloud mining. I always find it kind of silly. Plus the fact, if you read into the small print, 35 cents per terahash per day. So, if you're making less than $3.50 on 10 terahash, they keep your Bitcoin and they keep your money. And if you email them about that, they're like, well, you would have ended up paying more for your Bitcoin than you would have got for it. But here's the difference. If I would have had an ant miner in my house, and let's say I was paying the same amount of electricity and getting the same amount per day, but I was actually getting less Bitcoin in value per day than I was burning in electricity, at the very least, I'm hodling my Bitcoin and it's going into my wallet slowly over time as I'm mining. The difference between that and Genesis mining is that they keep your money and they keep your Bitcoin. So at the very least, you can mine for a loss, and then if the price goes up, then it's all worth it, and you've surpassed your loss now. But you can't do that with cloud mining, so it made no sense. But it was really easy. It was sort of the gamification of money for people. I remember even Trevon James saying that he knows that he himself knows that it's better to just put $1,000 into Bitcoin than to buy a mining contract with $1,000. You're going to make way more when the price of Bitcoin appreciates with that $1,000 in Bitcoin than you would in a couple years of mining with Genesis mining. But he says that he prefers that sort of thing. He prefers Genesis mining. He prefers these cloud mining schemes because he can log in every day and see the numbers. And that's a real thing for a lot of people. And that's what really pushed people into BitConnect too, because it was just an explosion of prices and everybody was just shilling links all over the place. I can't forget the ICO after ICO after ICO, because the initial ICOs brought people in so much profit. They were hundreds of percent. You could pretty much put a blindfold on, spin around in circles, and pin the tail on a donkey, and wherever the dart landed, that's the ICO you buy, and it'd be up 500% once it hits an exchange. But that sort of died off pretty fast because people started to realize you could do that. Also, there were scams. BitConnect was a scam. Essentially, cloud mining is sort of a scam. And then ICO started to become a scam. They just would accept all their money and then leave. And it was just an explosion in price. And none of that is really around anymore. There's still the occasional ICO, but people know better now than to just invest into outright Ponzi schemes. I don't know how people didn't really know better beforehand, but fair enough. So there's a huge difference now. So moving on to different news. Craig Wright must show court pre-2014 mined Bitcoins today. So in Kleiman vs. Wright, the court was granted the motion to compel and ordered Craig Wright to provide a list of all his pre-2014 Bitcoins by January 17th. So Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart's ruling on June 14th is a no-nonsense one. He has granted a motion to compel. Wright thus remains responsible for delivering a list of all the Bitcoins he mined prior to December 31st, 2013, on or before June 17th, 2019. Wright has sidestepped a previous motion in the only way he legally could. On April 18th, he filed a motion for a protective order. The motion claimed that producing such a list would be unduly burdensome because, in and around 2010, he stopped track of the public addresses for the Bitcoin he mined. And come 2011, he transferred all the Bitcoin he owned to a blind trust. Oh, it gets so silly. He therefore knows the public addresses for none of the Bitcoin he mined or owned during the crucial prove it to us buster period. Convenient much? It certainly is. The court denied Wright's motion and ordered him to produce documents and certificates pertaining to the so-claimed blind trust, indulging all of its transactional records. The court reasoned that encryption dates back to the time of Julius Caesar and is used for everything from national security to personal communications to cloud storage. Wright, however, is pulling out all the stops, but by May 8, 2019, he'd submitted a sworn declaration that stated that the trust, settled in October 2012, was there to hold all the Bitcoins he'd mined and acquired so far, or would in the future, and that it really was impossible to prove this to the court because the trust stores the public addresses and their associated private keys used to unlock the trust. Number two, it's an encrypted using Shamir's secret algorithm, which divides an encryption key into multiple parts that have distributed amongst several individuals, probably one of which is Kleiman, and probably Craig Wright probably scammed those hard drives, and now Calvin Ayre and is probably trying to decrypt those. He can't decrypt the outer layer of the encryption without the help of these fellow trustees. And to make the plot even thicker, Wright now claims the Bitcoins aren't stored in the trust, just the addresses and keys. Wouldn't that effectively mean that they are stored in the trust if your addresses and your private keys are there? I mean, because Bitcoin is just on the blockchain, so it's not like they're in a trust or they're in your cabinet or they're in your zip, your thumb drive, or they're in your Trezor. They're on the blockchain, and you use your keys, you store your keys and your addresses. So wouldn't that effectively mean that they are in the trust? My mind is boggled. A hearing has been scheduled for June 28, 2019 before Judge Beth Bloom. At that appearance, Wright will have some explaining to do should he not deliver the list. The court, it seems, is anticipating just such a turn of events. The order reads that in that case, he'd have to show why he shouldn't be adjudged in civil and or criminal contempt. Seems like the article is written very poorly. At this point, the record before the court fails to demonstrate that Dr. Wright cannot, through reasonable diligence, comply with the court's March 14th order. Wright has been spewing tweets that he'll only prove his Nakamoto alter ego to a court of law, and this is his final chance, which is just not looking like it's going to happen because I don't think he has it. Now, So more speculation. I don't really think that Wright is Satoshi, but I think maybe he either A, had something to do with it, or the whole Paul LaRue article is pretty compelling as well. And if they are in this trust and they did split up the private keys, that likely means that Kleiman, whether they mined these or whether they are Satoshi or whether they took these from Paul LaRue or they took them from somewhere or what, or maybe they don't exist at all. But if they do and they're in this trust, then that likely means that Kleiman also has part of those private keys, but he is deceased. There was some speculation that Craig Wright had gotten a hold of the Kleiman family, their elderly father, and told him, hey, make sure you back up those wallet.dat files on the computer. And likely he may have went and got those hard drives from an unknowing father of Dave Kleiman, who didn't really even know any better. And of course they are encrypted and he can't open them. But you can always certainly try to brute force something. It may take quite a while, and it does. And Wright has said before that he is working to try and decrypt some hard drives, and him and Calvin Ayre probably are trying to do that together. And once he has those decrypted, he might be able to say that he's Satoshi, and he might have a lot of Bitcoin after that. Or it might not exist at all, and he's just trying to do this to prove that he's Satoshi. I don't know. So we get a little bit more of a snippet every week or so as we get closer to this full-on trial, etc. So, of course, I will keep up on this, and I will always bring that news. But moving on to the final news of the day. Tron's Justin Sun invites Litecoin founder Charlie Lee to the lunch with Warren Buffett. So Justin Sun has started announcing the co-invitees to the Warren Buffett charity lunch coming up in July. So Justin Sun was the winner. He paid apparently the most money. I guess you're a winner if you pay the most money. For a lunch with Warren Buffett. And he's going to invite, the first person he's inviting is Charlie Lee, creator of Litecoin. Lee's also known for his role with Magical Crypto Friends, a group of commenters with a Bitcoin maximalist slant, who also try to keep the peace when it comes to conflict between opinion makers and the future of the leading coin. Lee's also kind of a voice of reason, and he discourages outlandish optimism on price appreciation. Kind of. Lee's creation, Litecoin, came about to the spotlight in 2017 after being added to Coinbase as one of the few altcoins, starting off at a price of just $2 and went up to $3.50 at the end of 2017. At this point, Lee warned of too much exuberance and that Litecoin could go back to $22, which it did in late 2018. But Litecoin also became one of the best performing assets in 2019, marking almost $140. So Justin Sun's move to win a meeting with the most iconic mainstream investor, Buffett, was viewed with some skepticism, but also pronounced a step in the right direction. True to his habit using social media to create suspense, Sun will be announcing the other guests one by one in the past months. Buffett has expressed his skepticism about Bitcoin, and it remains to be seen how he receives input from industry leaders, which I'm sure he probably couldn't care less. Moreover, as the year progresses, digital assets making bids and mainstream adoption with Bakkt and the upcoming futures exchange already has significant infrastructure set up for storing Bitcoin as it's scheduled to beginning its physically settled Bitcoin futures soon. So the fairy tale that Bakkt futures should be coming sometime soon. Apparently, I think July 22nd is when user testing is going to begin. But you know what? I'm gonna believe it when I see it at this point, because we have heard this for a very long time with Bakkt, and I'm sure a good thing. Good things take time. Don't get me wrong, but for now, to me, it's a fairy tale. When it becomes real, my wish became true, and I wished upon a star, and it just shot through the sky, and I go, by golly gee, I wish we could have Bakkt futures, and my fairy tale comes true. It's like a early 90s Disney movie. It's coming. My wish is going to come true. Cryptocurrency market cap, coin market cap, 288 billion market cap, 9,300 Bitcoin. Everything's sort of in the green today, or at least a lot of things are in the green today. Litecoin's still suffering a bit from its explosive rise, but honestly not particularly surprising. Interestingly, XRP is up, and it seemed to have gotten out of that 30-cent slump that it was in for it was basically like a year that it was 30 cents. And finally, up to 44 cents, so great for XRP holders as well. Bitcoin SV pumping. Why? I still don't know. Maybe a pump before it dies, and Craig Wright has proven not to be Satoshi Nakamoto in a court. Who knows? But everything looking pretty good today. The market doing really well. And again, the big difference between 2018 and 2019 now is in 2018 I was still making news videos every day, and don't get me wrong, there were plenty of great things that I put in the news and that came about in 2018, but for the most part there was nothing that would hype the price of Bitcoin. There was no institutional investment in 2018. We had the hype of back sort of at the end of 2018, but it wasn't enough because it just didn't come out. But now we got the halvening of Litecoin, Bitcoin. We got more institutional investors coming in. We got a lot more adoption. Unfortunately, Facebook coin, I guess, which is making some people excited. And just, it's a completely different year. And I think it's more warranted this year. I think it's more set in stone, and there's a better foundation for Bitcoin. As honestly, before 2017, Bitcoin, there were way less altcoins. 2017 was the year of the altcoin and the ICO. In my opinion, they were just exploding. You could find a new coin to mine virtually every single day, every single week. There was a new coin coming out, and there were plenty that occurred in 2016 and before that. But 2017 was sort of honestly just a fluke year. It just produced a lot of initial roots of a lot of cryptocurrencies, but they didn't really grow because we just sowed an entire field and didn't really take care of it too well. We had too many ICOs, too many scams, too many Ponzi schemes, too many pyramid schemes, too many Genesis mining, too many people losing money into those different things. And I think it scarred people for a year. I think when people lost all that money, well, of course, if you didn't sell, you technically didn't lose anything. But a lot of people, let's be frank, a lot of people lost a lot of money at the end of the bull market there. Come December 2017, especially with the collapse of BitConnect and honestly the collapse of a lot of cloud mining that are somehow still around, and I have no idea how they still operate. Oh yeah, no, now I know, because they take your money and they keep your Bitcoin. It's the best operation I've ever seen. It's just like, I'm just going to be mining for free and you just give me money. Amazing. It's just it's shockingly it's such a shocking scam. I can't believe it's still around. But that's all I have for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. That helps me out a lot. So does sharing the content as well. My social media in the description below. And one thing before I go, I'm going to be moving. I'm packing up as of now. There's a ton of boxes in my house. I've been working to pack and stuff like that. And I'm going to be moving across the country from Arizona back to Pennsylvania. I'm going to go to Pittsburgh. Technically, I've never lived in Pittsburgh. I lived like 90 miles north of Pittsburgh pretty much all my life. But going back there for career moves. And so there's going to be this lull in my videos, and I do apologize for that. So don't feel like I went anywhere. Don't feel like you could compelled to unsubscribe or anything like that. I will be back. I will be back with the news and with coins and tutorials and all that good stuff. But you know, it's going to take me a week to travel, probably a week to find a good place and set up utilities and stuff. So it could be up to a couple weeks before I get the opportunity to make a video, or maybe I can make one on the road sort of thing. But stick with me and I will be back. But I won't be leaving till the end of this week, so there probably will be another couple videos, and I will make the announcement on the exact date that I'm going to be leaving, probably like Friday of this week. So just expect a sort of a dead period, if you will. But I'm still here, still alive. I'm just driving a gigantic truck across the country and looking for a place, and then unpacking that truck, and oh god, moving. If you guys have never moved, it's rough. It's such a pain. So many boxes. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.